Good morning, everyone. On today's show, we've got updates on the Elden Ring Night Rain beta. In addition, a new Sony State of Play has been announced that we're going to talk about. But the meat of the show is that I'm going to directly respond to Button Check, someone in the FGC who actually took some content off of this show the other day and did a segment on his show about it about 2 days ago. So we're going to directly watch what he had to say, and I'm going to say some things back. All this and more on today's episode of the Level 1 Podcast.
Get ready for some meaningful content, because the king is back, the king of the live stream, the king is back. Woo!
Alrighty, guys, how you doing? Good morning and welcome to the show. It is Tuesday, the 11th of February, 2025. I'm DSP. This is the Level 1 Podcast, once again going with the borderless look. And if you guys like this more than the bordered look, please let me know. I'm trying some new things out this week, and I want to get your feedback. So, excited for today. Today's going to be a good day of content. We're going to have gaming, but we're also going to have a fun commentary show later tonight with Smart Guys. I've got updates on various different things, including, the conclusion of Dark Souls, Call of Duty last night. We got to talk about our goals, and we got to talk about hitting them. We got to talk about a lot of things today. But the major focus of today's show is that I am going to directly respond to Button Check. This is a guy who makes content in the FGC. He's talked about me once or twice before. And he's a very neutral party. What I mean by that is, even though he is part of the FGC and for some reason the fighting game community hates me, figure that one out. I guess it's because everyone hates me, right? Basically, when he covers me, he basically like tries to get something out of things that I say in my content and present it to an audience in a more neutral way. Almost like a devil's advocate perspective, which is a good way to do it, in my opinion. And it was funny because a day or two ago, I was sitting here on the show and someone's like, did you know that the FGC is actually talking about what you said about Street Fighter 6 the other day? And I was like, no. I mean, I'm not surprised, but at the same time, I'm shocked that anyone is covering it in any way besides, DSP sucks or something, right? So I got the video sent to me, I watched it, and I was like, wow. Actual intelligent conversation. Now, the funny part about it was, if you actually look at the comments of the video, it's literally 90% toxic, misinformed idiots. And then there's like a few people that are intelligent. So what we're going to do is watch back the Button Check segment. I'll respond to it, and then we'll see what these responses are and maybe get something intelligent out of it rather than just the noise of the morons on the internet, which is pretty much what you hear 99% of the time, right? All right, so I hope that you're all doing well. Update on my neck. It still hurts, okay? Like, no lie, it still hurts bad. I feel like every day it's shifting into a different position. So last night, once again, second day in a row that I slept on my osteo pillow. I always get ortho and osteo confused. So yeah, stayed in position all night, woke up this morning, and my neck wasn't in excruciating pain, which is good. But I still can't lean it left or right at this point. I could turn it fully, which I guess is an improvement. I can kind of lean forward and back, almost. Right there, I just got a sharp shooting pain through my neck. But it's still messed up. I'm doing my best to try to recover from this thing, but there's nothing I can really do about it. Luckily for me, my job doesn't really need me to do much focused physical movement or anything like that. And yesterday, I was able to get through my entire day playing Dark Souls and finishing up that playthrough, and playing Black Ops 6, surprisingly enough, with little to no difficulty. Although there was some pain, I basically just toughed through it, and it was all good. So, FYI, hopefully it will not affect things moving forward, but understand if you see me cringing in pain, or if I seem a little grumpy, it's probably why. I'm still in pain. I still have this pain right now shooting up my arm, and, it sucks. There's nothing I can do about it. It's happened before. It's happening again. I'm sure it'll eventually, settle in and go away, but it's going to take time. It's not going to be a quick overnight thing. All right. Okay. Quickly, let's talk about yesterday. Let's get this out of the way before we get to the new topics for today. So yesterday, first stream was the conclusion of Dark Souls with mods. Went really well. In fact, went better than I had actually expected that it was going to go. I ended up beating the Dark Souls with mods run during yesterday's stream earlier than expected. We took on the final chasm of the abyss, got down to Manus. Manus was tricky. He had a whole new boss phase that wasn't in the original DLC for Dark Souls 1. It was kind of interesting. He had some new attacks and things. Beat him within, I'd say, maybe 30 to 40 minutes. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was more the run back to him after you die that was the pain than the boss fight itself. And then we went back to the main game. Well, I take that back. We went back to the early area of the DLC where you fight two of those Chimera bosses at once. So I fought two at once, beat them first shot. Then went back and went inside the Lord Vessel into the kiln of the first flame, and got through that area, and then basically got to the end, which was Gwyn. And Gwyn was probably one of the more interesting things about this modded run. So Gwyn, they added in a phase where his sword doubles in length, and yes, you have to dodge it because it's doubly long, so it makes it much harder. And they also gave him a lightning bolt attack that's the same as the lightning that you get in Dark Souls 2, as well as another, like there was 2 or 3 new attacks he had that he hadn't had in the original game. It was funny. At one point, I ran to the other end of the arena and I went to chug Estes. He jumped across the entire arena over a rock that was in front of me, landed in front of me, and just zip executed me with the sword. I was like, that's new. But it was pretty fun. Let me put it that way. It was pretty fun. It was a good run. I really enjoyed Dark Souls with mods. Of course, immediately people said, would you play Dark Souls 1 again with different mods? Like there is that Daughters of Chaos or Daughters of Flame, whatever it's called, mod that basically changes the whole game. Yeah, I'd like to check that out at some point. What about other Dark Souls games? Yes, I would like to check out other Dark Souls games as well with mods. I've actually heard that Dark Souls 2 and 3 both have tons more and much better mods than Dark Souls 1 does. So this was just, as they say, the beginning. This is me opening the door to me checking out mods on PC. And I'm very excited for that. I am. I want to explore PC gaming and modded PC gaming moving forward. I think it's going to be absolutely great, and I look forward to it in the future. So thank you to those who were there along for that ride and who supported that ride, okay? So FYI, did we hit the goal during that stream? No, we didn't. I think we hit like $90. We ended up ending early, and we did an hour of just like hangout Q&A session because we had time. But sadly, I didn't hit the goal. I got made like $90. I'm like, all right, no big deal. It wasn't a dead stream or anything. So the late stream last night was Black Ops 6. And I was really wondering if I was going to be able to play Black Ops 6 because of this neck injury that I have right now. Because, I mean, to me, go to keyboard and mouse mode and having my arms up like this in this position the entire stream, you know what I mean? Like, it's one thing if I'm over here, but it's another thing if I'm here, keyboard and mouse the whole time, and I'm trying to play. Is it going to actually, like, hurt my arm? Good news is I positioned myself. I brought this desk closer to me. And I basically got it so that I was in position in my chair. I wasn't leaning or straining. And because of that, I was able to do the stream without any real issue, which was a great thing because I was nervous, Now, let's see if I can zoom in. See, this camera is screwed up today. Look at that. It won't even recognize. It's supposed to recognize the L symbol. And it won't do it. It blinks and then it stops. It's all screwed up today. Let me try this hand. Wow. The camera's screwed up today. I don't know why. I can't get the hand signals to work with it today. And they've been working pretty consistently for a long time now. And look, it just blinks half and then it stops. Yeah, it won't work. I'm going to have to use manual controls with the camera today, which is really dumb. I don't know what happened. It's been working for weeks. And once again, technology, right? Like it's supposed to be working and it just stops working. So let's zoom in here. It's not even, see, it's trying to auto-center. It's not even auto-centering on me. It's supposed to be following me. And it's not even following me that well today. It's messed up. Well, let's zoom in. I'll have to get it adjusted later for when we're going to do face cam for Ninja Gaiden. I'll have to basically get it to zoom in even more. I I don't know. I don't know what's going on with it today, but I'm not gonna mess with this endlessly. I'm just gonna do the show. Okay, so, uh, playing Black Ops 6 last night, okay? So 2 primary things. Number 1, I wanted to unlock akimbo SMGs. And when I say that, I was using the SAUG. It's a Uzi. And the Uzi is great. At least I think if you're using double tap and all of that, not double tap, it's called it's like rapid fire. That's what it's called, rapid fire. So I think it's pretty good. I'm mowing down people or whatever. So I'm like, oh dude, if I get these akimbo, it'll probably be even better, right? So I worked the entire night to get this done. I unlock it and it sucks. It's doing like no damage. I'm like, that is stupid. I'm using 2 Uzis, SMGs, going crazy into everyone, and it's doing no damage. So if anything, Treyarch doesn't know what they're doing. I hate to say it. A lot of the things in the game are way overpowered. It seems like these SMGs I was using were terrible. So next time I play, I'm probably going to try sniping. Okay, just being honest. That's number 1. Number 2, we had a big upheaval on the Kick chat because as I was playing, as you know, especially when I play multiplayer games, particularly Call of Duty or Street Fighter 6, I get full of adrenaline, right? I do. I just get like so full of, hype and everything that I basically kind of tend to overreact and get over angry and stuff like that. So someone in the Kick chat basically said something that they shouldn't have said. They used the word in a way that they know they shouldn't have used it, but the way that they did it wasn't meant to be malicious. It was meant to kind of be a joke and to, you know what they say, to like poke the hornet's nest. But I'm playing Call of Duty and I look at the chat and immediately I get angry. I'm like, look at this guy, Chimchar, who's trying to get my attention and is trying to piss me off when I'm playing Call of Duty. So I just banned it. And then I kept playing, but everyone got upset with me. They're like, dude, why did you ban him like that? He's a regular, at the very least, yeah, maybe he went a little too far with his joke, but you should have timed him out and said, don't do that. So basically, rightfully so, the Kick chat revolted for like maybe 10, 15 minutes as I played another match. And then after that, I was like, all right, fair enough. You guys got me. I'm glad that you called me out. And I apologized to Chimchar and I unbanned him. And I said, please just don't do that again. And then he didn't. Rightly so, he didn't. He actually acted nice. So it is what it is, right? Sometimes you mess up. And I screwed up because I had too much adrenaline in me. And, water under the bridge. It's all good now, right? But anyway, the only real problem last night that happened, okay, support was very, very low for Call of Duty. Abnormally low. And I'm not saying that every time that I play Call of Duty that we have an amazing stream and we hit the goals and stuff. It's not true, actually. It's kind of up and down. Like with Call of Duty, it's, hit or miss sometimes. But last night, support was almost non-existent for a very long time. Sorry, I'm trying to, my crown just fell. I'm trying to reposition this sign. There we go. That looks good. I got to get the crown because the crown hit the floor. Basically, it's hit or miss when I play Call of Duty. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so great. But last night, the support was super duper low, okay? Super low. And I was wondering what was going on, so I'm asking the audience and everything. There we go. So, it doesn't seem like there was any real definitive answer as to why the support was as low as it was last night. But I do want to say, thanks to the very end of the stream, there was 1 or 2 big contributions. So we got up to like maybe $60 by the end of the stream. And I was like, all right, I was better than, what we had, which was like 20. So, but just stands to reason. Right now, we did not hit any goals yesterday. Okay. My goal is thus. Today, I want to hit 2 more goals and I want to get to 10 because number 1, I want to do the final taste tests for you guys. Remember, I said that I would do the final, the next to last and then the last Sakura box snacks. And I said that when we hit 10 goals hit, I would also do the first snack from the new European box that showed up. So that's a bonus reward. And I want to do DSP Tries It for you guys tomorrow. I can't do it today. Originally, I was hoping we would do it today, but obviously that wasn't going to happen because, obviously we didn't hit any goals yesterday. All right. But if we hit our goals today, it means tomorrow we can do DSP tries at Arby's. And that's perfect timing because my wife is working. And that way she can just come home and we could have the meal and we don't have to work, or she doesn't have to cook when she gets home. All right. Now, I'm not saying that if we hit it later in the week, it's awful or whatever. I'm just saying it would be perfect timing to hit it today. So let's do it. Please, let's get some support in and get some support moving for the stream today. I'm hoping that by the end of this podcast, we are a good chunk or good majority into raising the goal. So that way when I play Ninja Gaiden, I can just focus on the game and don't have to worry about mentioning it every few minutes. I just like to be able to focus on what I'm doing rather than have distraction. And that way also I'll feel, better that tomorrow we're going to do the show. Everything's going to be good for the week, right? So please support if you can. All right. I appreciate everyone who does. We got our first contribution right now. It is a $2 tip from Flatman B. I'm just sitting down to listen in. I hope everyone has a good day. Much love to all and peace. Thank you, Flatman. Appreciate that. Remember, guys, there are many ways to support my streams and content. Super chats, super stickers, memberships, and gifted memberships on the YouTube side. Subs and gifted subs on the Kick side. And tips, which anyone can do. Particularly this last week, I've seen a big dip in Kick subs. Reason being, there haven't been many Kick subs this week so far. I came back on Sunday and then Monday, and I think between the 2 days, I think there's like 3 or 4 subs overall, while a whole bunch expired, like 100 had expired. So, anything appreciated, guys. Seriously, let's hit the goals. Let's get it going. And, I want to get people on the leaderboard for the very first of the day, right? First sub, first member, first super chat. Let's get it going. Okay? All right. Let's do... Oh, thank you, Princess Luna. I was just about to move on. Thank you, Princess Luna. First super chat of the day. $10. It says momentum. Thank you to Princess Luna. Appreciate that. Thank you for getting momentum started. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we got our first super chat of the day. Princess Luna answered the call. Now, who's going to be the first member bomb and the first sub? Let's find out. And maybe a first super sticker, right? That's different too. Okay. So moving on, we have some minor topics to address today. And then we have some major topics to address. All right. So first off, let's talk about this. Let's get my clone out of there. Okay. I think for Ninja Gaiden, I can actually put myself. Hold on. For Ninja Gaiden, I think I can be in the corner, right? So I could get rid of that bar. Yeah. I'm also very small. Oh, you know why? Because I was playing Call of Duty. Here we go. I want to be bigger. I was playing Call of Duty, so I wanted to be smaller to not block as much of the screen. Okay. So tomorrow is State of Play. Sony dropped this today out of nowhere. Hadn't really given any hints that this was coming up, but tomorrow is their next State of Play presentation. As you can see, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Central. Wait, that's not Central, is it? Isn't that like worldwide time or something? Like universal time, I think. So you can watch it on YouTube and Twitch. So what's it going to contain? It's going to have updates regarding major games, and the rumor is that it's going to be about 40 minutes long. Okay, so of course, everyone is wondering, are we going to have the new Ghost of game, right? What's it called? Ghost of Yokai or Sokai or something like that. I forgot the name of it already. Will it be new information on new God of War game? We have new information about this Sony property, that Sony property, right? So people are speculating and very excited. Ghost of Yote, thank you. Am I excited for it? I am. I'm interested to know what Sony's up to. But the thing is, it happens in the middle of the afternoon, in the middle of my gameplay stream, and tomorrow is my first stream ever of Onimusha Warlords. So I'm just going to go ahead and play Onimusha Warlords. I'll get caught up on whatever announcements there are, and we will recap them and talk about them on Thursday morning's podcast, including if I want to do any live reacting to any trailers or whatever, we'll do it then. Likely there will be some trailers and things that I want to live react to on Thursday morning, FYI. So not going to do it live, but we'll be doing it on Thursday on the show. So be here Thursday morning if you want to be in the know about Sony. Okay, that's good. Now, there is another update. And FYI, I wish that I had positive, concrete, locked in information for all of you regarding this, but sadly I don't. So here's the situation going on with Elden Ring's Night Rain DLC, or I almost said DLC, Night Rain beta. Okay, so the Night Rain beta begins this Friday, the 14th. I know that sounds weird. You're like, wait a minute. The Night Rain beta starts on Valentine's Day. Yes, it actually does. I think that's silly, but they tend to do whatever they want with these game releases or whatever they don't think, right? I mean, why have it on Valentine's Day? I don't know. But anyway, the beta has certain slots when you can play it. One's at like 3 to 6 a.m. Then there's one at night from like 7 to 9 or 10 p.m. Then on Saturday, there's another one during the day. And then on Sunday, there's another one during the day and during the night. Okay. So FYI, if I play the Elden Ring Night Rain beta, okay, I'm going to be playing it the late stream on Friday and then again the late stream on Sunday. I'm not playing it Saturday because I'm not here on Saturday. And I'm not going to play it from 3 to 6 a.m. I'll be asleep. All right. So I'll be playing it twice, basically 2.5 to 3 hour sessions. Do I want to do it? Yes, I do. My code arrived. I have my code right now to play the Night Rain beta on PS5. And I think it would be a shame for that code to go to waste. All right. But there's a major problem. Okay. A huge problem, actually. For whatever reason, FromSoft has had zero transparency about the beta and whether or not anyone is allowed to capture and stream and share any information about the beta. Now, I can tell you right now, as of now, during the sign-up process, during the acceptance process, and now getting my code, not once ever have I received any information whatsoever that said you cannot capture or stream this beta at all. There is no NDA. There is no information whatsoever about that. I've checked everything they have ever sent me. I checked their website. There's nothing at all. All right? Nothing. So, I'm not sure what's going on with that. You would think that they would be abundantly 100% clear about it, but they're not being. All right? And I don't like that. All right? Reason being, I've been here and done that before. Let me explain. Many years ago, I was playing games that were published by Atlas, including Persona 4, the fighting game called Persona 4 Arena. And then later on, it was, Persona 5, the actual, RPG. In both cases, I did absolutely nothing wrong whatsoever, but I received copyright strikes from Atlas claiming that I was violating their copyright. All right. In the case of Persona 4 Arena, it was literally me doing the tutorial of the game. In the case of Persona 5, basically Atlas had come out with these very strict rules about when you were playing Persona 5, what you could stream, what you could publish as a video on demand, what was allowed. I followed all of the rules 100% to a T. And they still hit me with copyright strikes, okay? And when I actually inquired into it, what I was told in response was, well, that's Atlas of Japan, and we here at Atlas of the USA don't have any control over what they do. Even though you did listen to all the guidelines, they can hit you with copyright strikes anyway. We'll see what we can do. And basically, I was told, just respond to them, counterclaim them, and that they would never respond, and I did, they didn't, and then the claims got cleared up. But since then, I've been insanely skeptical about basically doing anything Atlas related. I did play the Metaphor demo and didn't have any issues. All right. But basically, on a whim, these Japanese game developers can tend to make the wrong call and hit you with copyright strikes for literally no reason. Okay. Now, in the case of this Night Rain beta, I could definitely see FromSoft having reason to try to keep this beta a secret, to not have it spoiled all over the internet. The thing is, it's going to be anyway. All right, I'm just going to make this abundantly clear. Even if they don't allow you to capture and stream it, people are going to talk about what they saw in it anyway. and everyone's going to know everything about this beta instantly. That is just how the modern era works, all right? There is no secret society that keeps things under wraps or anything like that. Everyone's going to know about it anyway. So for them to think that it's a good idea, all right, that they would, that you're not going to stream or record this, it's insanely stupid. Just being honest with you guys, okay? It's just really dumb. But it's still in their realm to do that, all right? Now, here's the thing. Number one, there very well could be information, but you have to redeem the code. And then perhaps after you've installed the beta and you boot it up, there could be like a terms of service that pops up, or an agreement, non-disclosure agreement that pops up on the screen once you've installed it. I don't know that because I didn't use the code yet. All right. To be honest, I don't know if I should. Do I really want to use the code, then have it pop up in my face and say, oh, you can't stream or record this? Now I've wasted the code, right? Because now I can't share the content with you. I feel like I would rather give the code away to someone who doesn't care about capturing and recording than waste the code. So that's why I haven't entered it yet. All right. So that's number one. I just don't know. Maybe it is in there and I just can't see it yet. Right. That's number one. Number two, if you cannot capture and stream it, all right, then I'm not going to play it. All right. It sucks because I would love to play it and then tell you guys what I saw, but I got to work. I have to put out streams that you guys can watch and enjoy and I can make content out of and I can make money on. It's my job. For me to play this beta and not capture and stream it would be essentially the same as saying, well, I'm taking a few nights off just to mess around with the beta, right? I can't, I'm not taking time off of work to do this. If I'm going to take time off of work, I'm going to spend time with my wife. I'm not going to be playing a beta of another game that I can't stream. Okay. So I'm just not sure what to do at this point. However, there is a silver lining here. All right. The first slot of the beta is 3 to 6 a.m. on Friday. I'm not playing at 3 to 6 a.m. I'll be sleeping. But what we could do is use that as the litmus test. There's going to be people who are going to be streaming and capturing this thing during that time slot, regardless of if you're supposed to be or not. So what we can do is see what happens. Are people who are going to stream and record and upload videos of this beta going to get hit with takedowns and copyright strikes? If they do, then obviously I know I can't play this thing, right? But what if literally every single person plays it, uploads it, and there's thousands of videos of this thing on the internet already? Then it's just a drop in the bucket, and they're not going to hit everyone with thousands of takedowns. So I guess the question is, what will happen during that first slew of people who play? And I'll use that as my determination if I'm going to play this or not. Okay? So unless there is some definitive information that gets spread and put on the internet between now and Friday, but I find it incredibly weird that FromSoft was not clear. Like, why would FromSoft, what is their incentive to not be clear about this? Wouldn't it make more sense to be abundantly 100% clear and say, listen, do not capture and stream it. It's not allowed. Or it's fully allowed. Why just be quiet? That's what gets me. Totally. I just don't understand that part at all. Okay? So there you go. It's funny, people say it was in the terms of service. There were no terms of service, you jackass. There were no terms of service. There was a sign-up page, and all it said on the sign-up page was you're putting your name, your address, your network information, your platform of choice, etc., and that was it. There's no terms of service. Anyway, so we'll see what happens, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm likely going to err on the side of caution. All right. I think it makes more sense to say I would rather not have my entire business shut down and hit with copyright strikes just for the sake of maybe getting some views on this thing. I want to play it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I would love to play it. But like I said, I can't afford to take time off of work to play it. It would be one thing if it was like, wouldn't affect my streams, but these is directly during the time I'm streaming. So I won't be able to do it. If I can't stream it or capture it, I can't play this beta. So, it is what it is. Let's see what happens. If FYI, if they do stream and capture it during that 3 to 6 a.m. slot and no one has any issue and FromSoft doesn't say anything, then I very well might take a risk on it. Okay, but let's see what happens and go from there. I'm going to assume we can't do it, which sucks after all the trouble I went through to get the code. I signed up on like 4 or 5 different email addresses to get one code. But here's the if I can't do it, then I'll give it away. All right, if I can't do it, I'll give it away probably on Friday. Okay? Fair enough. That way it doesn't go to waste and someone who doesn't care about the capturing or streaming will still be able to enjoy it. There you go. Okay. That was very refreshing. That was very, very refreshing. Okay. All right. So, guys, thanks for listening. Now we're going to get into our major segment of the show. I'm going to react to button check here. But before we get to that, again, I just want to reiterate. Today, I really need to hit my goals. Yesterday, I hit no goals whatsoever. All right. Today, I want to hit these last 2. So, number 1, we can do the taste testing of the final snacks and start the new snacks box, the European one. But number 2, I want to lock into DSP Tries It tomorrow for Arby's, which is our reward when we hit 10 goals, because it makes sense to do it tomorrow. So please support the stream. All right? Please. Let's get some more support going. Right now, we have 1 tip and 1 super chat. Let's get some more momentum going. How about some subs over on Kick, some memberships here on YouTube? All right? Anything helps, as you know. And it adds up. Even the little contributions add up and help out a lot. So please contribute. And let's get it going. All right? Cool? Okay. Now on to the meat of today's podcast before we get to Ninja Gaiden 2. Okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, last week I played with Mai Shiranui in Street Fighter 6. And after having done that initial day of gameplay, which I very much enjoyed, the next morning on this very show, I went on a little bit of a tirade about the current state of the FGC. And the thing I was really upset about is that I knew that I had so much fun playing with Mai Shiranui on launch day, but that I probably would never have that much fun ever again. The reason being is the current state of fighting games. That basically there are creators out there that literally rush to discover, expose, and then share the meta of fighting games within hours or days of anything new being added to a game, whether it's a brand new game or a game that has a DLC character or a seasonal update. They literally go out there and put out step-by-step instructional videos, how to beat the new character, how to do this, here is the meta for this character. And the thing that I ranted about was that there's no more era of discovery. Back in the day when you used to play fighting games in arcades, there was an era of discovery where there was several months to years, a time period when everyone was being unique and trying different techniques and different combos and being exposed to different things by going to tournaments. This was the best time for any fighting game. But back then it used to last months to years. Now it lasts 2 days. And then everything is spoiled all over the internet. The other problem is being that the games have no execution required anymore. Back in the day, the thing that would separate a great tournament player versus a so-so one was a person who had tons of great execution. Well, guess what? Today, there's no execution required. Every combo, every move is piss easy to do with input shortcuts or whatever. So you literally just have to sit in training mode for an hour or 2, and you'll learn the meta of every character if you just watch videos. So basically, I talked about this in a video, and I explained that I was very upset about this because it just makes it that fighting games aren't that fun anymore. And I was worried that if I played with Mai Shiranui again in a week or 2 weeks, the fun would be gone because everyone would know how to beat her easily. Well, my trolls picked up on this. They made highlights of me talking about this and shared it all over the internet. It made its rounds into the actual FGC. And this guy, Button Check, made a whole video. Well, not a whole video. It was half of his daily video about it to get some conversation going. What I like to do is watch this video, directly respond and react to it, and then give you my thoughts. All right. So some people have started contributing. Thank you for that. Let's do shout outs and then we're going to do this together. And I'm excited to see how this goes because this is the first time I've actually really paid attention directly to anything from the FGC in a very long time. All right. Okay. So, first of all, Mayor Charlie with a $5 super chat says, Gamers of the World Unite. Thank you, Mayor Charlie. I appreciate that very much. Good to see you here today. And I received a $2 tip from a longtime fan. And it doesn't even make sense. What they're saying literally makes no sense at all. I read it, and they're trying to make demands and stuff, so I'm just going to ignore them because they're idiots. Okay, so anyway, just another dummy. Okay, so let's get started here. What I love is I run a podcast, and then there's people who think that they can, like, control or derail the podcast. Like, I have an agenda. We have things we're talking about today. Let me send Phil a $2 tip making demands, and this will hopefully change the entire course of his whole show for today. No, stupid. I'm busy. Don't have time for you. Okay. So, here we go, everyone. FGC responds to DSP. Content creators are ruining the enjoyment. Here we go. I pressed the wrong spacebar because I'm a moron.
All right, next up, last but not least, since I'm pissed off that content creators is ruining the mystery behind fighting games in the meta, buttons that need to be checked. That was a weird-ass title, but it's going to make sense, kind of. It might not, because it involves DSP. That's right. I want to thank Jersey or Joe Oaks 90 for tagging me in this story. Says, don't want to give DSP too much spotlight, but wanted to get your input on this.
Hold on, because my stupid thing is to me off. There we go. Okay. So let's continue. So, listen to this. Don't want to give DSP too much of a spotlight, but wanted to get your input on this. I'm sure Dirty Low does. I don't know who Dirty Low is.
I'm sure Dirty Low, I wish I could include him in this one right now, but he is, I don't think he's here by the time I'm recording this, but we have a video. It's a small clip. He might make an interesting point. I haven't seen the whole thing. I haven't, all right? So we're going to watch it. We're going to get some opinions. Let's see.
Now, on day freaking 1 of anything new being in a fighting game, you've got hundreds of fucking try-hard creators who are running the gauntlet of testing, who are sitting there in the lab, who are recording and uploading and montaging, and here's how you beat. By the way, you can tell that he's watching a detractor because you see how terrible the quality is. You notice that my voice sounds terrible. You notice that the visuals are terrible. It's because he's watching a detractor reclip instead of the actual content. Just so you know, button check, if you actually watch the real content, it's much better quality. These idiots clip and try to upload, and it sounds and looks like shit. You know, that's why it looks so bad. This, here's how you stop that. Here's how you do this. Here's how you beat that. And within like 2-3 days of anything new being in the game, you've already got how to beat the new character. But the character just came out. Like, can we play with the character before you basically tell the entire world how to make them worthless in the game? Really? Can we, like, play the fucking game and have fun with it? That whole entire era of that time of discovery feels fresh, feels exciting and new when a new character or a new game comes out, and now you can explore for yourself. That has been absolutely destroyed by the internet. Because now, on day 1 on YouTube, day 1 on Twitch, here it is. Here's everything you need to know. Put absolutely no time or effort into playing or learning for yourself. Just copy what we're sharing with you. Oh, by the way, like the video, buy my merch, and send me super chats and fucking memberships because I just fucking spoiled the entire game for you. And to make matters even worse, back in the day, even when tech was shared with the internet, okay, the entry level skill check was that the games actually had execution required, all right? Even if you knew the top tier stuff to do in any fighting game, you would have to sit there and practice endlessly in order to get good. And since the games weren't at home, you had to pay to go to the arcade, you had to wait in line, so you basically had to put in the time, effort, and money to get good at fighting games. Today, every single fighting game is baby mode, meaning you don't need good execution. You don't need to sit there and practice too much. You could literally sit there for an hour with any character and probably learn all of their top tier combos because none of them are hard to execute at all. You just need to know situationally what to do and then just practice a little bit so you get the muscle memory and you're good to go. Why do you think it is that when you actually play fighting games now and you're playing the meta, I mean, oh, I'm playing against a Cammy. Every fucking Cammy plays exactly the same because they all watch the same videos. They all practice the same tech, they all know the same meta, and they all play at exactly the same level. So if you know that throw loops are dominant in Street Fighter 6, guess what? Every camera you fight will be doing the same throw loop, and you'll be doing the same guessing game, the same gambling chance that you break out of the throw loop or not. And what happens is the game becomes incredibly repetitive and boring. It's just the same thing every single time you play it because everyone's copied each other. It was never like that back in the day. I want to emphasize with all of you, it was incredibly fun the entire first few months to year of any new fighting game being out because it felt fresh and new. Everywhere you go, you'd play something different you'd never seen before. It would just be so much fun. In this case, the games are destroyed within weeks. You know, why was playing with Mai Shiranui so fun yesterday? Because everyone was experimenting. No one really knew what they were doing, right? And by playing that first day, it felt fun and fresh and interesting. You could try mix-ups. You could try setups. It was great. Within 1 week, everyone will already know everything that Mai Shiranui can do because all these idiots are going to fucking post it all over the internet and explain in heavy detail, here's how I analyzed it all, and here's exposing everything to the world. But again, because there's no actual execution required to play these games anymore, you're making it so any fucking mouth-drooling idiot can now play the game at a meta level because you're exposing the meta for profits.
So there we go. There we go.
So I will say this, before we even start, he listened to almost the entire argument I had, even though it was out of context from a detractor. He actually listened to the whole thing. He didn't just listen to one little out-of-context part that, of course, makes me look bad. He actually listened to the whole thing. He gets massive credit for that because most people don't bother to do that. Most people will just listen to the 1 10-second highlight from a detractor and be like, well, that's what Phil said and he's a moron, right? Instead of, wait, he actually listened to the whole clip and it actually made sense because he listened to it. Cool. So already I give this guy points for actually being patient and doing the right thing because he wanted to make a good video. That's what you do when you're a good creator. Okay, now let's see what he actually has to say in response, okay? Here we go.
Because you're exposing the meta for profits. How y'all feeling about that? For one, let me say, as a content creator going on 8 years, there's no profits. There is no fucking profits. Trust me, there is no profits. You can make, let's say you make a game for meta, somebody that's well known, I don't know, let's say a Brian F or something like that. If just that one video, because they're not going to make a whole series. Rooflemonger's good at doing that, right? He'll like do a breakdown and whatnot. Who else? I'm sorry, there's a whole bunch. They don't really come to mind. But the chances of you like really, oh, this is going to pay my rent this month on this one series, not so much. That's not how that shit works. YouTube is a fucking beast, right? And the FGC is very small in the scheme of things. These fucking profits people talk about every now and then, they're imaginary. No, I'm not saying you can't make some, because definitely there's big names in the community overall. Overall, with the years they put into it, there's Twitch, if I could talk, their Twitch streams, their contracts, if they're signed, they're sponsored, numerous sponsors, then okay, they're pulling in something, right? But not just off this one concept that I'm making a combo video. But I will.
Okay. Oh, wait. Well, is he done with the thought? Hold on.
I'll say, like, to play devil's advocate, right? I do think there is a way, because I've seen it every now and then. People will say, oh, if you do it a certain way, you will spoil it.
Oh, okay, he's on to the next part. So I'm just going to say this very simply, very matter-of-factly. I'm not saying this to insult this man. I'm not saying this to insult any particular creator. If you are exposing the meta of a competitive thing, whether it's a sport, whether it's a game, whatever it is, if it's something competitive and you're exposing the meta of that to the world, you should do it for a reason. And the reason should obviously be a good one. And if you're telling me that it's not for profit, then what the fuck are you doing it for? because you understand that when you expose the meta of something competitive to the world, you have actually destroyed the competitive nature of what it is. For example, I want you to just think about this for a second, okay? Michael Jordan, when he was at the height of his game playing pro basketball, did Michael Jordan go on TV and be like, oh, by the way, here's all the tips and tricks that I use to play my game at top level right now and win the NBA championship? I'm just going to lay them all out for you right now. Here they are. No, he did not do that. He also didn't go to all of his fellow players and people say, oh, here's how you play basketball. No, he kept it to himself so he could be a good athlete. And then years later, all right, down the road, when he's washed up and his time has passed, then he becomes a mentor. He becomes a coach. He passes on that knowledge to the next generation. He doesn't just give it to everyone right now when he's at the height of his prime game and something competitive is going on. All right, again, back in the day in the FGC, people would learn strategies, okay? And what they would do is they would go to tournaments and expose those strategies through competitive play. But they wouldn't immediately go online and be like, so by the way, guys, I just found out an amazing new strategy with Zangief. Here's exactly how you execute it to a T so everyone can immediately replicate this and do it in a tournament. No, why not? Because they wanted to go to a tournament and use it themselves so that they could win, because it's a competition, all right? Now, you can argue this different ways. For example, you could say, well, Phil, that's dumb, because what you're saying is you just shouldn't share any knowledge about anything at all. What about other video games? Like, for example, let's say you're playing Dark Souls, right? Shouldn't someone just post up a strategy on how to beat a boss in Dark Souls? Well, sure they should. Of course. If they want to share that information with the internet and they want to make a FAQ or a guide or whatever. But there's two key differences you're forgetting here, all right? And the first is very simple. Dark Souls is not a competitive game. You're not entering a tournament to play Dark Souls, okay? You're not at all. You're just playing it for yourself. So whether you get stuck on a boss and you need to look up the information or not, that's your choice. But you're not going to get ahead by looking up a strategy of how to beat Manus in the DLC of Dark Souls 1. You're just helping yourself, okay? When you're doing a competitive thing and someone is exposing all of the ways to play at a competitive level, you're actually watering down and ruining the competitive nature of the game, all right? That's number one. Number two, if you look up strategies for a single-player game, the only person that's affected by that is you, because you're essentially spoiling the game for yourself. You've decided to take the easy road. You've decided to take the shortcut, okay? And hey, some people say if I tough it out and I don't look up any strategies, okay, and I beat something like a tough boss in Dark Souls, I feel accomplished, right? I get a feeling of, wow, I really earned that win because I stood there and I figured it out for myself. Some people don't care about that, and they just want to look it up right away and beat everything quickly, while others may get stuck on a part and they want to look it up to get past the part that they just cannot beat for themselves. But again, that's a single-player experience. The problem with exposing the meta of Street Fighter is that you're literally ruining the competitive experience for everyone because you're playing other people, all right? So let's say, for example, it's day one of Mai Shiranui, and you're using Mai trying to figure it out for yourself because that's fun to you. But someone else decided, hey, someone already made a video exposing every strategy with Mai Shiranui. Let me watch it, study it, and immediately know the meta. So here you are, day one, trying to play the game online, and literally everyone is spanking you with these crazy top-tier strategies that no one in their right mind should actually fucking know yet. But someone wanted to make a video about it, okay? That ruins the game. There's a difference between having instructional videos and tutorials and facts and walkthroughs of a single-player experience versus doing exactly the same thing with a game that has a competitive online meta that should be discovered through skill and discovery, not, oh, I copied someone who put a video on the internet, okay? Sorry, it's just true. Back in the day when you were in arcade, you had to earn everything you learned, whether it was playing or actually being at a tournament and watching someone and trying to figure out, how do I emulate what I just saw? Versus today, day one, there's combo videos with button inputs on the screen. Here's the timing. Here's how you do this throw loop. Here's how you do that. That ruins the competitive nature of a fighting game, and it really ruins the competitive nature of anything competitive to begin with. Now, you can say, well, this is the modern day. Good for you. You could say that. Doesn't mean I have to like it. And it certainly doesn't mean that it's better than how it used to be. The point that I was making when I was talking about people putting these videos on the internet is that they literally do ruin the competitive nature of these games. Why do you think a game like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or Street Fighter 3 Third Strike or Capcom vs. SNK 2 or Super Turbo, the big four, why do you think those games lasted nearly a decade or longer, holding down the entire competitive Street Fighter community when there were no other games? Was it because people immediately were finding tech and spoiling the entire game? No. It was because there was this awesome era, a decade of grassroots discovery, fun, camaraderie, competition. It wasn't about immediately getting that clickbait popularity because you spoiled everything you ever knew about those games. I mean, by the end of that era, around the Street Fighter 4 era beginning, there were still new strategies being discovered daily and being put into tournament play in those games. Why? Because there was no fucking internet spoiling the living shit out of those games right away. You got a whole decade of enjoyment out of those games before they were essentially retired so that Street Fighter 4 could come to prominence. Today, literally, it's here's the new game. Oh, look, here's another one. Throw that one in the trash to go to the next one. Oh, the next one came out. Throw that one in the trash to play the next one. Why? Because they're all disposable because we already figured everything out within a week. That's the problem with the way modern fighting games work. Sorry that the old way was more fun and better, but it's true. It just is, all right? It was better back in the day than it is today. Now, the other half of this equation that he just said, well, there's no money to be had here at all. There's no money. Then why are these people doing it? No, really, I have to ask this question. Why would you completely spoil the competitive nature of fighting games unless you're benefiting from it? You have lost me now. So you're actually putting all of the important tournament competitive meta knowledge of a game on the internet for anyone to copy right away, and you're not getting anything out of it? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. No, really. That's legitimately one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. Why would you do it then? Then don't do it. Keep the knowledge for yourself, enter tournaments, and prosper for a bit. I don't get it. I really don't. Again, it's a competitive community. It was always supposed to be. It's the idea of a competitive game is to have a competitive edge. You've literally destroyed your competitive edge day one because you told everyone about the knowledge of the game. And if you're not getting money for it, then why are you doing it? You're losing me here. Yeah. There's got to be a level of logic here somewhere, and I'm looking for it, and I'm not seeing it. All I'm seeing is everyone wants to be hype on the internet and meme about these characters and shit. Big deal. But then when you go to play the game's ruined within a week. It's so boring. Why did you ruin the game in a week? All right, let's continue because I'm sure he has a lot more to say.
There's a way to do it where as if you leaked it. You did it too soon. People are real big on that, right? If you do it before Capcom releases certain shit, they feel like they were robbed of a certain experience, though. They will get pissed at content creators. Now, it doesn't really happen too often, but you have seen it throughout the years. And even with that, though, it's not so much meta. It's more so just revealing who's in the character, the upcoming announcements.
So he's talking about people who get advanced access and they make early content, spoiling new content before anyone should really even know about it. Fair enough. And you know me, I've been a person who's a very big opponent of people getting advanced early access for no good reason, just because they're the golden selected player or content creator, and then they spoil it for everyone. I hate that practice anyway.
Surprise shit like that. As far as though overall, the attitude of, man, y'all are robbing us by exposing the meta because my just dropped and now day 2 and week 1, y'all done put everything out there. So now everybody plays the same, does the same thing because y'all done ruined it. Isn't that the point? Like, because when a character drops, the first thing, like anybody FGC, they're looking at the notes, right? They're looking at, okay, what's plus, what's minus, what can I do? The people that are really into it and the casuals don't really look at that shit, but they're just gonna play. And more so what the casuals are gonna do, instead of reading all that scientific shit, they're gonna look at videos because they want to learn. And yeah, you could say, oh, it's easy, it's brain dead. You don't really need that if you're using modern controls and yada yada, but you're still gonna look at videos to see what they can do. And then usually what people do is try to put their own spice on it.
But there's a difference between watching a video of, say, gameplay. Like, let's say, for example, it's day one and all of a sudden there's a bunch of videos of top players using Mai Shiranui. On day one, if you watch those videos, right, you're going to see this character, or excuse me, this player used the character in a certain way. This character used the character in a different way. That's the best time. What I'm saying is, not just watching raw gameplay, because that's existed since the beginning of time when you're talking about arcade gameplay. What are you going to do? Block the screen when people are playing competitive matches? Of course not. People are watching the high-level competitive matches and learning by just watching the matchups. So that always existed, okay? What I'm saying is that people who literally sit there in the lab breaking down the character, testing frame by frame every single thing about the character, exposing the best strategy, the best mix-up, the best combo, the best this, the best that, and then saying, this is what you do, go lab this. Those videos exist, and they are very popular. They are. I've seen them within days of a character coming out. Here is the early guide for my optimal damage, optimal situational stuff, optimal this. Why are you putting that out there? Make people earn it. Make people play for themselves to learn it, or watch top players who have learned it and try to learn from them. Not just tell you like easy fucking baby mode how to do it. You're literally handing a book, Street Fighter 6 for dummies, to dummies and saying, hey, dummies, since you're too lazy to figure it out and you're too dumb to figure it out for yourself, here's how to win. Why would you do that in a competitive game? That's brainless. You should not be doing that. Again, if you were making personal profits doing it, I'd understand it. Now you're saying no one's even profiting from it. So you're literally destroying your whole community. You get that, right? Basically, if you didn't give the meta away within a week, people would have more time to discover, more time to enjoy, more time to not get crushed by the top tier strategy immediately, okay? I don't understand why you think that giving away the keys to the kingdom on day 7 is the right thing to do. You're essentially taking away that time period when things are fun and just saying, here it is, everyone play exactly the same from now on because that's the best way to play. You've lost me. That was not what competition and what Street Fighter was about back in the day at all. At all. Because to some extent, your ability to learn a fighting game for yourself, the speed at which you discover things, you adapt things, you improve things for yourself, was a measure of skill. And by you giving all of that information on the internet away for free within a few days, you have erased that skill check from fighting games. You have made it so that anyone who has time to lab can literally play fighting games at the meta level. Now, I'm not saying those people are going to enter a tournament and win, but they're all going to play exactly the same. And again, that stands to reason with my point that I had said. This is why every Cammy plays exactly the same. They all watched the same videos, they studied the same tech, and they were told this is how you do it. So now that's how they all do it. And the game sucks. Sorry, the game is boring when everyone plays exactly the same. And that is what happens when you expose the meta too early. And that is what everyone is doing with FGC with these games. And that's why they're disposable. That's why Street Fighter 6 isn't going to last 10 years like other games have. Do you think that a year and a half of Marvel 2 being out, people were complaining the game's boring? No. People were excited and still having fun in arcades because they were still discovering shit. With Street Fighter 6, people are bored within 2 weeks because everything's been exposed. When's the next character coming out? Man, I'm so bored. That's awful. How people don't get that, I don't understand. The only thing I can think, because you weren't around back then. You actually legitimately weren't around during the era of discovery, the days when you actually took your time to learn games and skill was a factor rather than how much time you had to lab. So because of that, you don't understand the context. I had a blast back in the day playing in arcades because it was a different experience. Now I go online, day 2 of a character, everyone knows 80% combos, unstoppable corner strategies, throw loops. Dude, I just booted the game for the first time in months. I want to play. Can I fucking play one match before I get my ass handed to me by someone who studied 20 videos and labbed for 7 hours? This is fucking stupid. Let's continue.
I remember back in the video game days, we would have to we would have to ride our bikes to a certain arcade or fucking gas station because that's where they have a cabinet for Street Fighter 2, and we would play, and we would literally have to ask a kid we've never seen before, how did you do that? Show me how'd you do that, and I'll be damned if a lot of these sons of bitches wouldn't show you.
Of course, because that's called competitive nature in a competitive game. Why would you tell someone how to do the thing that wins? That's the point. That's the point of a competitive game. Figure it out for yourself. That's what you do in a fighting game.
Because they didn't want you to know. They would hide the tech and keep the tech as much as they could. And it was so, but the way that they would cock block in the game was ridiculous. But when you met somebody who was cool and they would show you how to do certain things. I remember the first time I learned how to do it.
I'm going to be honest with you. No one taught me shit. I learned everything for myself by watching other players or practicing myself. I didn't learn a single technique by someone telling me this is how you do it. Not one. It's winnable. It's doable, but you have to have skill. You actually have to have intelligence, not just time. You actually have to have some level of like intelligent thought to actually think about how the game works and how this might work and experiment with it and then try that and then do this and then you figure it out. Not, oh, there was a nice guy who told me how to do it. I met 0 nice guys at arcades who taught me techniques to win a tournament ever.
Standing blade kick with Guy on Street Fighter 2 about my damn life changed. Anyway, when you met somebody that showed you the meta, damn, it just took everything to a whole new level. And yes, that was exciting. But you know what would have been even more exciting? If we would have had more meta. You know what I'm saying? If we would have had like magazines and online searches or whatever that could show this and really make us like dive in deep to unlock true potential.
No, because that's not competitive. That would not have been better. Again, why did Marvel 2, why did Third Strike, why did Super Turbo to this day, why are these games still prominent? Why did they last a decade holding down the competitive community when there were no new Capcom fighting games? Because the meta wasn't fucking destroyed. People kept experiencing new things in the meta the more they played. Eventually things staled up. Like I would say probably 6 years into Marvel 2, finally almost everything had been discovered. And now you're like, okay, we're kind of burnt out on it, right? But at least you got a long time out of it instead of just rushing everything to the internet. I don't want everything on the internet for a competitive game. That doesn't make sense because then there's no fun. It really, and I think what it is, this generation of gamer, and I'm not shit talking button check here at all. This generation of gamer never experienced the fun times of fighting games and doesn't even know what they're like. Instead, to them, it's just, I want to know all the knowledge. I want a lab. I want all the knowledge. I want a lab. I get 0 fun out of having all the knowledge and labbing. 0. I have never once sat in a training mode, practicing a combo, doing a trial, and said, this is fun times. Do you want to know when I had fun? Playing against people. That's when I have fun. And if I play against a person and during a match I learn something, oh, that beats that. Ooh, look at that. I just made a combo up right on the fly by trying it and it worked. And now I'm going to learn that execution for next time and this and that. Those are the moments of discovery that are meaningful and give you that fucking adrenaline rush. They give you that level of, like accomplishment. Not, oh, I copied someone else from a video in training mode for 5 hours and then I did it in a match. That gives me 0 feeling of accomplishment. But again, it seems like there's a whole generation that this is how they learn fighting games. So to them, that's how they get their big rush. No, sorry. That's not how anyone got a rush back in the day.
Once again, I know it's DSP. I already know how a lot of people are going to react. Hell, look at these comments right here. People are like,
so he's going to read comments off of the detractor video, which is sad because that's not the audience that cares or is going to say anything intelligent. We're going to look at the comments on his video, and you're going to see there's actually some pretty intelligent ones.
like, the problem with modern games is that people are learning the game.
The problem is that people are learning the game at too accelerated of a rate that they didn't earn, and it ruins the game too quickly and makes it boring way too fast. That's what I said, not that abbreviated version.
And then, wasn't he watching tech videos to beat other players?
No, I was watching matchup videos as if I were attending a tournament in person, which is what I used to do back in the day. I was watching matchup videos to learn how to use strategies and stuff. That's very different than studying the top tier meta tech video.
Hypocrite, he wants to gatekeep new people from improving so he can forever feed his ego.
I don't have an ego. I'm never going to go to a tournament and try to win. I'm never going to say, oh, I'm the best at a modern fighting game. I'm not a moron. Okay, I don't invest the amount of time and effort to ever be good at a modern fighting game. There's no ego here. It's a fact that modern fighting games are being ruined far too quickly, and people don't want to listen to me just because I'm a meme on the internet that everyone loves to hate. You're a moron if you believe that. It's your own fault if you want to live in ignorance. Don't listen to people who know better than you just because people like to make fun of them. Sounds like you're the moron here, not me. I know what I'm talking about.
Really shows the type of person he was back in the day. Can only win when people don't know better. Can't hold his own against people in the same knowledge.
Except that I'd regularly beat top players who had way more experience and knowledge than me back in the day. Nice try. I was known as the upstart up-and-comer, who basically was the runt who was beating the top tier players, and that's why a lot of people didn't like me.
But it's saying that, like
Also because I had a really fucking big mouth and I talked a lot of shit, and I regret that now.
I said, I see how people are going to look at it, but this is probably the most I can give him in the argument. He says nowadays everybody plays the same and there's no uniqueness to it. I've seen people say that. I have seen a lot of people, even pros, say that with Street Fighter V and Street Fighter 6. They're like, there's no, you can't look at a character without seeing a name and tell who's playing it, because it looks like a lot of people play the character exactly the same way, as opposed to like Street Fighter 4, when you could just see a character, certain movements and how they play, and you go like, oh, that's PR Balrog, or oh, that's Momochi, because everybody seemed like there was uniqueness. I don't.
Completely correct. Because the meta is exposed so early, no one is incentivized to play the game in a unique way. So even the top players memorize the top tech and just execute it right away. If you watch a matchup right now of two top players playing and it doesn't have the names on the top of the screen, I would challenge you to tell me the names of the players accurately who's playing, because you really can't. It's the same gameplay no matter who's playing now, so that's boring. And it never was like that back in the day. It wasn't. You play Super Turbo, you could fight someone who's using Chun-Li. One person uses her as a ranged character who's zoning you with fireballs and anti-airs. Another person is completely rushing you down. Another person is doing air domination where she always beats you in a jump. And every matchup felt different. Now, you play fucking Street Fighter 6, every person who plays Chun-Li plays exactly the same. I rest my case, and apparently people agree with me.
Don't know if that's really what he's getting at, though, because it seems like he's talking more about meta and not the actual state of the game. The biggest complaints he's having is like the games are too easy, they're all brain dead, and if you release meta too soon, everybody consumes it and they end up playing the same way. So,
and it's the same. Basically, I agree with both of those points. I do. The top tier players all play the same because the game is too samey and there's not enough originality because the meta is exposed too early, but it also makes it that everyone plays the same. It just makes the game boring too quickly, and that's why Street Fighter 6, every few months, everyone's like, oh, I'm so bored. When's the next character? When's the next update? And it wasn't like that back in the day. People were very satisfied with fighting games back in the day because you didn't have the meta being rushed through within a couple of weeks.
anyway, like I said, there it is for now. How y'all feeling about that argument? Is the release of meta too quickly in content creators ruining the state of excitement for fighting games? Let me know. And there it is, ladies and gents.
All right. And the one other thing I'm going to say, because we're going to look at the comments of the video now, because he actually has an incredible amount of idiots, of course, because all my haters rush to his video when it says DSP. He's an incredible amount of morons. But I actually highlighted a few interesting comments here that I felt, there. I was going to say, did it delete them? No, there they are. I actually highlighted a few interesting comments here that I feel actually are very intelligent and we should talk about, okay? But there's one other thing I'm going to say. And I feel like I really need to highlight this, okay? And in fact, let me scroll back up because I know people are going to clip this part, okay? I know that the FGC doesn't like me. I don't actually know why, because the modern FGC has nothing to do with the old FGC. The old FGC definitely has issue to not like me because I was a very brazen, outspoken, shit-talking idiot. I way went out of my bounds to troll people and act like a jerk in the fighting game community from the years of like 1999 through like maybe like 2005, 2006. But then I changed. Then I stopped being that asshole and I actually became a more positive force in the community. I started becoming a tournament organizer and I actually got really good at Super Turbo. So at that point, I actually got a lot of respect in the community. And then effectively, I retired around 2007, 2008 because I got a back injury and I couldn't really travel anymore to play Street Fighter. And every once in a while, I would dabble back into it. For example, in my early days as a content creator on YouTube, I did Street Fighter 4 videos where I talked a lot of shit to the people I played on the internet. And a lot of people maybe got rubbed the wrong way because of that, even though they were never meant to be serious videos and I never said I was competitively good or better than any pro player. I think what happened is there was a lot of resentment in the community because the fighting game community was trying to come up. But I was the guy making videos on YouTube, getting all the attention and views, while they were kind of like here. And it was like, why is this shit talking idiot the guy who gets all the recognition and attention when we're scrubbing it out here, trying to get up here to this level of recognition? We want to become an esports league. We want to get sponsorships, but this guy gets all the attention. Fair enough. Like, I actually agree with you. I wasn't trying to steal the FGC's thunder back then. I know for a fact, like, guys would be asked in the fighting game community, what do you think about DSP? They'd be like, who's DSP? Fuck DSP. He's a piece of shit. I'm like, I don't even know who that is. I've never heard of this person. I don't know why they're shit talking me. I'm just playing the games and having fun. So I guess there was some resentment at that point, okay? At this point, in 2025, I don't have a clue why the FGC would resent me or not like me. I'm not a part of the FGC. I don't go to tournaments. I don't participate in any kind of real major discourse. I talk about fighting games on my own content, and that's about it. My audience is what, a few hundred viewers to maybe a couple thousand? Yeah, my haters are dumb and they echo what I say across the internet in a negative way, usually out of context. But for the most part, I don't have much impact. So I don't understand why the FGC still hates me and or would seek to discredit every single thing that I say. Because here's the truth, folks. What I say usually is true, just maybe not popular. But then, over time, things tend to change, and then all of a sudden, the things that I said become prominent in the popular opinion. I'm going to give you a very good example of this. Only a couple of months after Street Fighter V had been released, I made a video, a rant, about how Street Fighter V was not a good fighting game. I outlined very intelligently the different things I didn't like about the game, including the ridiculous amount of input delay when you play this game offline and online. The fact that characters played like patterns and too samey, and that it didn't feel like the game was playing like Street Fighter, but instead like they were trying to make it a different kind of game. At that time, everyone said, no one knows what DSP's talking about. He's an asshole. He's a negative meme. Discredit everything. But all of a sudden, Street Fighter 6 comes out, and what starts to happen? Almost everyone in the FGC starts to admit that Street Fighter V was not a very good game, and Street Fighter 6 is just so much better, which is exactly what I was saying back in the day. People started directly agreeing with the points that I was making a decade ago. But because I was DSP, no one wanted to listen. But here we are 7, 8 years later. Oh, yeah, this is all true. Well, what about when Phil said, oh, no, that never happened, right? So here's the deal. If you're someone on the internet who's maybe just seeing this for the first time, maybe just look into it a little more. Maybe listen to what I have to say. Maybe don't listen to all the white noise around the peanut gallery of people who say negative things about me. I was playing fighting games since the day Street Fighter 2 was put in arcades. I was part of the competitive FGC from 1999 until through 2007, 2008. I was there during the grassroots. I was there when the games were becoming formative and competitive, all right? I know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about fighting games. You may not agree with my opinions, and that's perfectly fine. You may not like me as a person, but you should at least acknowledge and respect the fact that I have experience and I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Stop just discrediting me because you want to be part of ignorance and join a meme, okay? I don't care about the FGC. I don't want to be a part of the FGC. But if I speak facts about games, like the meta of a game is being exposed too early and that's why everyone's bored with the game, maybe listen. Instead of saying, oh, that's DSP, fuck him. Oh, he just sucks at the game. Oh, he just wants to spank scrubs. When did any of that ever happen? When did I care about my performance in modern fighting games? None of it makes any sense what you're saying. Stop just writing things off because you want to be a part of this negative force on the internet against something. All right? Use your brain, think for 5 seconds before you act. Fair enough? Now, based on that, if you actually scroll through all of the nonsensical bullshit things, look, the blocking mechanics, ick. You're trying to correct a homeless man and convince him there's 0 goblins in a tuna sandwich. It's just nonsense. It's mind-numbing bullshit. A bunch of idiots screaming at the internet, trying to get group recognition to say, well, DSP's a jerk, so let's all act like we're smart. Look, 49 thumbs up on moronic stuff. Hundreds of thumbs up on moronic comments. Morons stroking morons. But if we actually dig deep, you'll find a few intelligent comments way the hell down here. For example, I understand DSP. Today's fighting games, the characters are limited. There's no uniqueness to the characters anymore. Everyone kind of plays them the same way. Back in the day, in the days of Street Fighter II, for example, there were many different ways to play with Ryu. There were many legends who were famous for it, like Choi's Ryu was different from Vaille's Ryu. Mike Watson's Ryu is different from Tomo's Ryu. There were more uniqueness and creativity. You kind of stamped your signature on how you played a certain character. Compare that to what Button Check just said. If you're watching top-tier gameplay of Street Fighter 6 and you erase the names, you can't even tell who's playing. See my point? Let's continue. The 2 points he actually has. 1, people do all play X character the same way. Some of that is optimization, but I can go as far back as you want to older games that are solved and how the tools are used. I can tell who's playing, even going back to Super Turbo. Something is lost along the way. 2, execution. It does make it much faster to get what you want out of a game, which means you're ready for the next thing. Especially since modern games have more intentional design and clear interactions, it seems like people get to a point of being done with a title much sooner. It also makes it less hype when I see someone pulling off something crazy if it's easier to do. So if the games are insanely easy to play and don't require execution, why are we spoiling the meta within a few days? You're taking all the fun out of the game because the game is too easy. Let's keep going. The truth is, he has a point, but the funny thing is, the message he's trying to get across won't be heard just because it's from him. I bet in the future, someone that most people like is going to say something similar and the majority is going to like it and respond positively. Who's willing to take the bet? Well, let's see. It literally happened with Street Fighter V. I was the first person to make a rant video saying that it was not a good game only a few months after it released. And then after its life cycle ended and Street Fighter 6 came out, literally the entire FGC agreed with me. Okay, maybe not the entire FGC, but most competitive players did. The only people who didn't were people who only played Street Fighter V and didn't have a frame of reference to say, oh, the previous games were better. So, yes, this person is 1,000,000% correct. What will happen is, in a few years' time, the next big thing will come out, everyone will move on, and people will be like, wow, well, guess what? Street Fighter 6 wasn't very good. There you go. And lastly, DSP made a fair point even if you don't like him. This is content creation in general. Those who live by this type of content, you have to be the first. Elden Ring's ending, the first World of Warcraft raid defeated, opening the new packs in Pokemon trading card game, and in this case, how to beat Akuma. This is a content creation issue and the nature of the internet, though. Back in the day, sure, the local NYC, French, London scenes aren't going to know about what Japan just found out with Ryu, but that's because the internet didn't exist like it does now. I don't think it's bad as DSP made it out to be, but he does have a point that the character learning process has been greatly reduced due to the internet. If you were back in the day playing in New York City, France, London, Japan, and you were there during the times when people were playing and discovering things, you would be having 10 times more fun than people are having right now watching a video on how to master Mai Shiranui and then practicing those strategies and learning them in a day. And you know what? That's all I have to say. I rest my case. Games back in the day, fighting games particularly, were a lot more fun because it wasn't about being the first to spoil, being the first to be notable and get the clickbait views on getting that meta out there and having everyone do the same patterns over and over. The things that everyone do now, repetitively with Cammy, with Jury, with the top tiers, that stuff wouldn't have been discovered for 3 to 4 years. So you had a time period to experiment, to explore. Characters that right now are completely worthless in Street Fighter 6, like Lily, would have actually still been getting played competitively and people would have been having fun with them. Instead, half the cast is worthless because you ruined the game. You gave away the broken stuff so early, no one had time to have fun with the game. Instead, you had to rush for notoriety on the internet because you said it wasn't for money, right? So you rush for the notoriety or whatever it is. And maybe the modern FGC enjoys sitting in a lab, practicing shit in training mode, and then copy pasting that into a match online, and you find that fun. I will tell you, no one in the formative days of fighting games found that kind of shit fun. We all had the absolute best adrenaline pumping times playing against people competitively, testing our strategies, learning things on the fly, having actual hand-eye coordination, learning, reacting. You heard what I just said? Reacting. Something that almost never even happens in modern fighting games anymore. Now it's just about the pattern. Play the pattern. Oh, that didn't work. Do the throw loop pattern. That didn't work. Try this pattern. Try this guess. Try this 50-50. It used to be about reacting. Almost no one even has to do that anymore because the games are ruined too early. So you can have your modern fighting games, but all I have to say is you're getting exactly what you deserved when you decided to turn it into an internet memeable, popular, share everything moment, right? So now you watch Evo. Are there many Evo moments? Almost none. And now you go to a tournament and everyone plays the same. It's just not like it was. This is why you can't get the hype behind fighting games. No one will ever go to a tournament and see something truly for the first time ever and say, oh, because you already saw it 7 months ago, 2 weeks after that character released. And that's just not fun. That's boring. And that's why I don't even get into fighting games as much anymore. I don't want to see this meta every time I boot up a game in a casual match. I just want to play the fucking game and have fun. But I guess people don't care about that anymore because everyone wants to be a fucking tryhard who has the best win-loss ratio, who can grind through the ranks and sit at master just to lose points because they don't actually understand the game. I just don't get it, you know? And maybe it's not just fighting games too. Maybe it's other games as well. I'm just looking at it from an FGC perspective because I grew up in the FGC. But I hate to say it, it ain't like it used to be, and that's for the worse. Sorry. You could say I'm just a crusty, salty old man, and I guess that's fine. But that's my take, and it ain't going to change, especially when it seems like the internet isn't willing to listen. Because I'm DSP, no one wants to listen to reason. Well, in 5 to 10 years, when you're struggling to get a game to get any kind of notoriety in the mainstream, you ask yourself why. Maybe it's because you spoiled the fucking game within moments. And now no one has fun with the game anymore. And you have to be a tryhard studying every frame data piece to even hang in a casual match online. Normal people don't want to do that. They don't. They just want to play the game and have fun. When did that get lost? When did the idea of playing a head-to-head game being fun get lost in the shuffle of everyone just trying to get notoriety on the internet? I really feel like things have taken a major turn for the worse. And maybe that's why I'm not going to be part of the FGC ever again. All right. Well, I think I reacted as well as I possibly could. I have no idea if Button Check will ever see that or ever even respond to it. But I want to thank him for actually watching my clip in context and responding intelligently, because I feel like maybe this will open up even more discussion. And even if it never does, hopefully someone got something positive out of it. There you go. Okay. And by the way, if anyone else in the FGC ever wants to talk intelligently to me about this stuff, I'm available. I'm a wealth of knowledge from back in the day. I'm one of the few people who back then am still an active content creator today. I'm accessible. It's just that everyone wants to meme negatively about me constantly rather than listen to what I have to say, which actually has knowledge and experience behind it. So if anyone's interested, you can always reach out. You can DM me on X. You can send me an email at darksidefil@hotmail.com, and we can have a chat and see if anything ever gets started of intelligence rather than just a bunch of mouth droolers in the comments like he had in his video there. Okay. Let's do some shout outs. So we had Big Mac, who became a member, but I don't think it was a new membership. Oh, it was. It actually was a new membership. So thank you, Big Mac. That does count towards our goals for today. The crunchiest onion, excuse me, I'm losing my voice actually. Oh my goodness. The crunchiest onion did a 10-pound super chat and says, nobody in your local FGC community taught or showed you anything. That's really sad, to be honest. It explains your mentality. That's really sad, I'm being honest, that you never experienced that. No, everyone wanted to beat each other. Do you get it? Like, we all respected each other as players. Some of us did become friends, but we didn't tell each other all the tech. Then what was the point? Why play something competitive if you're just going to tell someone how to do it? They have to earn it. They have to learn it, right? That's what it was all about. It was about those nights, those late nights at arcades from 8 p.m. to midnight. In 4 hours' time, grinding out as much competitive play as you possibly could by pumping in the quarters, playing, winning or losing, waiting your turn for your next match, watching people play, absorbing the tech from what you saw, trying to emulate the things you saw that worked, trying to learn from the things that didn't, and doing it for yourself instead of wanting your fucking hand held every moment. No, that never happened back then. Literally never, ever. Very rarely. Maybe if you became very friendly with a group of people and you became part of a team. Like, I was part of various different gaming teams over the years. And yeah, then maybe we would help each other out to learn tech and beat people because we wanted our team to succeed as opposed to just the individual. But for the most part, no. Everyone kept to themselves. Everyone kept tech. Good luck going to Chinatown Fair any given weekend, playing someone, seeing them do something you've never seen and say, how did you do that? They'd be like, go fuck yourself. Figure it out for yourself, scrub. And then you would have to try to figure it out for yourself by watching them do it 20, 30 times. And that was your night. I mean, that's how it was. But then here's the thing. If you actually learned that strategy and you figured it out and then you actually implemented it in your gameplay, you felt accomplished. You were like, oh shit, I got it. Eureka moment. I figured it out. The endorphins are flowing now, and now let's get it. And then you'd play and you'd start winning. Versus, oh, I just went online and everything was handed to me on a silver platter and I just copied it for like an hour in training mode. I lapped and here I am. Here's the pattern. There you go. I mean, not exaggerating at all. That's exactly how it was. So thank you. Crunchiest onion, technically that's pounds, so that's a little bit more than dollars, I think. I don't actually know what the exchange rate is of pounds to dollars. Okay. Hold on. Got all kinds of stuff going on in my phone. I was going to check for that. I was going to check for the exchange rate. Pounds to USD. Here we go. $12.44. There you go. Sorry, I got to become an international exchange rate master to stream now. Apparently, this is going to be something I have to do. Okay. So that's the top super chat. Luke Jones did a $10 super chat. He says, we deal this with card games too. Meta deck lists get posted online. Then players just use or modify those lists to win entire tournaments. Removes the discovery period when a new set releases. And again, I'm sure you probably thought back in the day it was a hell of a lot more fun going to a tournament for a trading card game, and playing it and seeing people who invented and learned through experience versus someone who just copied something offline. And then everyone knew it right away, right? I mean, how do people not know this? And again, this is any competition. In sports, it's the same. Can you imagine if someone figured out a way in baseball, right, to pitch a certain way or to swing and hit the ball a certain way, and it was like way better than what everyone else had figured out. And the moment they figured it out, they just went on camera and said, hey, everyone, here's how you do it. So now the entire game of baseball has changed from top to bottom because someone just spoiled it immediately. Rather than a few people figuring it out and then learning from experience and then doing this different and doing that different. It's the same. But again, people on the internet playing video games versus physical things, I think they treat them differently. Everyone on the internet always just wants to spoil and be a part of the community and be a part of the meta and be a part of the discussion and be a part of the fun and have this feeling of belonging, I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't give a shit. Really, I just don't give a shit. World Weather Authority became a member this morning. Thank you to World Weather Authority. That did count for as a new one. And I received a $2 tip from Flatman B. This reminds me of the days when people would have a Nintendo Power or other gaming magazine that would tell you all the secrets, and I'd be uninterested because I wanted to learn it all for myself and the full experience, like Zelda, for instance. Yes, and here is the difference. When you were using Nintendo Power to look at secrets for a video game, it was for an offline single-player game. It wasn't, oh, here's exactly how to beat this entire game that's competitive and that you can actually level up in and win competitions and tournaments and be seen as a great player and get notoriety on the internet for. It was, oh, you just beat it for yourself. No one cares. There was a difference. If you choose to spoil yourself on a single player game, that's your choice, right? But if people all collectively spoil fighting games, there is no choice. Every time you play that game, you have to play against people who cheated. You have to play against people who spoiled, people who didn't earn anything, but were given everything. So now, because you chose not to cheat, not to spoil yourself, you're at an insane competitive disadvantage, and good luck having fun playing that game. So what you're telling me now is the only way to ever have fun with fighting games is to literally go online, watch every tutorial video, every matchup video, sit there in the lab endlessly for hours to even have a chance to win a casual match. Gee, I wonder why fighting games don't have longevity anymore. It's almost like none of that makes sense from any kind of a community perspective to welcome new players and make them feel like they could have fun with your game. Oh shit, it's almost like you need a fucking brain if you want your community to be successful. But these people don't have brains. They don't. They just want to be hype monsters on the internet. Okay. Well, I can't wait to hear how tomorrow the entire FGC will be up in arms against DSP, and we're going to have every top player on the planet making videos about me and crapping on me. It'll be hilarious. Really, it will. In fact, I hope you do that. I really hope you do. I hope all you come out of the woodwork to crap on DSP once again, just so in 5 years' time you can all come out and agree with me, just like you always do. All right. So we're at $47 of support, and Cypress TV, 29 months as a member, says, "Hey Phil, have a great stream." Thank you very much, Cypress. That was just the pop-up message. That was not a fresh one. Okay. Well, guys, I obviously went long on that segment. In fact, I'd like to highlight that segment, but I'm not even sure really where to highlight that segment for later, so I don't even know if I'll be able to, quite frankly. I guess we'll have to see. But does anyone have anything they'd like to talk about before we adjourn here? And we get into Metal Gear. I said Metal Gear. Holy shit. We get into Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. What's up, Game Boy? How are you today? Cracker Jack says, you don't seem to enjoy fighting games, so why play them? See, here's the thing, Cracker Jacks, and this is what people don't get. I actually do like fighting games, and I actually very much enjoy when I play and I feel like I've discovered something, or I have a really good match against a player who's not just playing a pattern. Those are the moments of, again, the adrenaline, the endorphins are running, right? What do they call it? The chemical that you get when something clicks and you feel good about yourself or whatever. I get that feeling. The problem is you have to trudge through so much shit to get there. It'd be like, there's your reward way out there, but there's an insane liquid lake of duty that you have to wade through to get to the good thing. Dopamine. I guess that's what it's called. Dopamine. There you go. So, yeah, and it sucks that it didn't used to be like that. Like, no exaggeration, when I played Street Fighter 4, all right, I would boot it up and play it online, and the game was laggy as fuck, all right? It really was. But simply having a general knowledge of Street Fighter and applying that to the new game mechanics that were in Street Fighter 4, I was able to experiment and learn strategies that allowed me to win online and get good wins, and it felt great. I didn't study videos. I didn't copy anyone. I didn't go to tournaments. I just learned for myself, and I had a great time, and I had insanely successful video series based off of it called the Madness series, where I would play one character for like a half an hour, 2 hours, and just make tons of matchup videos of them, and you would actually see how I would learn and advance my gameplay during those sessions, right? And it was a great feeling. And no one then had a guide or online videos or streams to just copy. And then the moment that you play, you got to face the meta. Like the meta was not discovered for so long that it was fun. It just, but the thing is, I agree with you. Like I get frustrated a lot because again, back in the day, you could make a mistake and it wasn't the end of the game. Today, you make a mistake. Oh, now's my chance to hit that 80% punish combo that I learned by labbing for 5 hours by copying that top content creator. What? So everyone has the best optimal combo at all times. So if, God forbid, there's a one dropped input or you touch the wrong button or you have a slight mistiming or, God forbid, the netcode sucks, which it does in Street Fighter 6. If the netcode drops your input or mistimes something, the whole round is over. That's not how it's supposed to be in a fighting game. Really, it's not. That's not what fighting games were ever about. And I feel like these modern players and even the modern game designers, they just don't get it. They have lost what made games fun back then. And that's why these games are just flash in the pan successes that don't last. You cannot argue that fighting games lasted way longer back in the day than they do today. You just can't argue it. They did. And no one was complaining that the games were too samey and boring. People loved them. Oh, let's see here. Daphan says the meta videos don't even help most people. You've seen it yourself. As soon as you break the pattern, they lose instantly. They've not learned anything. They're mimicking. You're right. You're right. And that's sad because, again, just by playing the pattern well, they can win and ruin the online experience of a fighting game. They really can. Like, no one wants to have to fight through armies of samey people that actually are very hard to beat. You have to super memorize the insane timing. Like, Cammy is the worst. Everything is safe. Every move she has, every setup, if they just play the pattern, they're safe 98% of the time. So you got to look for that one moment of execution they fuck up, or you got to look for that actual one moment when she's not safe, which is very rare. Very rare. And that's why the game's not fun to play. You know, no one wants to deal with that shit. Can you imagine someone trying to play Street Fighter 6 right now, day one, first time? Oh, I want to play it. Dude, they're going to run for the hills after 20 minutes. Like, fuck this game. What a bunch of assholes. You know? Valkyl says, I'm playing Virtua Fighter 5 and came with a combo for the character I play based off of patterns I saw in a tournament. It felt great doing even if it wasn't optimal because you figured it out for yourself. That's yours. That's your style. There are people, okay, who will do non-optimal combos because it's easier for them with their own muscle memory to do that combo. Maybe it's 10 less damage points, but hey, if you could consistently pull that combo off all the time, instead of doing the optimal combo but having a chance of dropping it, do the other combo. And that's your choice. That's what no one does anymore. Like literally, that's what we have not have anymore. There's no, oh, I made this active choice to do this to make it my own play style. Everyone just says, well, I played the meta. I played the meta. I played the meta. Excuse me. Dave Double H says, by this logic, no one should make Monster Hunter weapons tutorials. Monster Hunter is not competitive. Monster Hunter is an online co-op game that's meant for fun and camaraderie, and you can use those strategies if you want. You don't have to, and it doesn't matter if you do or don't. It doesn't ruin the game, okay? Actually exposing the meta of a competitive game to everyone where you're forced to be competitive ruins the game. There's a distinct difference between the style of game. Stanley25 says, I would lock myself away to learn Guile in Street Fighter 4. I didn't have internet at the time where I lived. I would destroy people in my circle because I put in the time and I learned the game. And I bet you felt damn good about it because no one showed you how to do it and you didn't copy anyone to do it. You learned it, right? You toughed it out and you learned it. It's the equivalent. I know this is a silly thing to say because it's a fantasy movie. Rocky versus Ivan Drago. Rocky, who literally self-fucking trained himself and learned everything through hard work and perseverance, the underdog, versus Ivan Drago, the dude who had all the modern technology, everything handed to him. He was pumped with chemicals and he was fucking worked by the top fucking guys in the world, right? That's what it feels like playing Street Fighter unless you fucking sit there and laugh. It's insane. Why do I have to be fucking Rocky against Ivan Drago to play a casual match of Street Fighter 6? What is wrong with people? Dante Inferno, thanks for the membership. He says, do patch note videos fall into the same category? See, the thing with a patch note video is you're just relaying public knowledge of what was tweaked. You're not actually showing how to implement those tweaks for maximum benefit. So literally listing facts versus saying, here's the experience of how to use those facts is different. These idiots here. All right. Anything else, guys? By the way, thanks for your support. Again, really, guys, today, I need to hit the goals. I need to hit the goals on this stream, and I need to hit it on the late stream so we can do DSP Tries It tomorrow. So we can have the food show up, for the right day and everything. Let's do it. So please support if you can. And thanks to those who already have. We're already a third of the way to the goal, but let's not stall, because this is what happened yesterday. We had a really good start, and then when I started playing the game, we completely stalled and didn't hit the goal. Let's hit the goal today. Dapian says, I do miss having to change my playstyle based on who I'm playing instead of now. Unless I do my character's optimal moves, my character doesn't even work. Never mind what my opponent does. I can tell you, I can 100% tell you this, okay? That playing Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, okay? The game that I'm the best at feels insanely completely different than playing any modern fighting game. It just does. In Super Turbo, all right, it is just at the entry level. It's a completely different game. It doesn't feel like you're even playing the same series anymore because they've turned these games into so many mechanics, so many easy mode things. Back then, it was about knowledge, timing, spacing, mix-ups, tricks, reactions were huge. It's hilarious. I would tell you this, no lie. Okay? No fucking lie. 80% of the competitive things that I use playing Super Turbo, I don't ever use in modern fighting games. 80% are just dropped, not used, not needed. Because they don't even work anymore. Zoning barely even exists in a fighting game anymore. Good luck trying to zone. The best I can do is doll zim, and even then, it's very hard to hard zone someone in a modern fighting game. It's just not possible with the amount of maneuverability and stuff that they put into them now. You know what I mean? Actual footsies, almost non-existent. Everyone just has one or two buttons that beats everything. As opposed to back then, it was this beats this, this beats this, this beats this, this leads to this, this is a trick that leads to this. Now it's just walk forward, press the button, walk one step back, oh, press the button again. Oh, low kick, button, button, but oh, I win. All right, guys, I guess we will adjourn. All right, so here's the deal. It is Ninja Gaiden now, and it is Smart Guys tonight. So tonight on the late stream, head over to DSP Reacts, at DSP Reacts on YouTube at 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, or to the Kick channel for the wrestling commentary show with PPP. All right, tomorrow we're back to a full day of gaming. It's going to be my first ever stream of Onimusha, and I am going to attempt to play Street Fighter 6 again on the late stream, but I don't know how it's going to go. When I played it on Sunday, it went poorly. Like, it legit lagged all night. And the funny part is, I've now played other games online, including the Monster Hunter beta, including Black Ops 6, and neither of those lagged. So if I play Street Fighter 6 again and it lags only when I'm playing Street Fighter 6, that means it's something with Street Fighter 6 that has changed that's screwing everything up. So I guess we'll have to see what happens, okay? Okay. Alrighty, everybody. Thank you for watching the Level 1 podcast. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I will see you all tomorrow for some fun. All right, guys, peace out. Have a good one. See you then.